thank you Anurag for writing such a beautiful scene, and thank you Nawaz for being there.
Amir, you've done Monaco as well as Samsung Guru.
Samsung Guru is also the reason how I got Gangs of Wasseypur.
Anurag Kashyap directed the ad.
Yeah, and that's how.
That was the first ad that Anurag Kashyap directed. Can anyone believe it?
Yes, so in a way I can say I give him his debut as well.
And he has given you his debut.
So we're equal now. Nawaz came up with this story that how वो बहुत शर्मीले थे, and जब फर्स्ट टाइम वो डेट पे गए तो उन्होंने लड़की का हाथ पकड़ा, उसे लड़की ने बहुत तेज से उनको डांट दिया. I am a hunter, she wants to see my gun. When I pull it out, the women start to run. Hi guys, this is Huma Qureshi. You're watching me on BollywoodHungama.com.
Well, one of the most endearing aspects of Gangs of Wasseypur for me was the first part, that is a dialogue that Huma Qureshi says that permission ली क्या आपने? There's a very cute romantic scene between Huma and Nawazuddin in the film, and that memory definitely stayed with me. Both of them, they are film buffs, and somewhere they're enacting their film fantasies in real life for the first time maybe, and that's what happens. Pleasure having you on Bollywood Hungama.
Thank you.
And I think you've been getting very positive reviews, and people who have seen the part 2 of Gangs of Wasseypur, I think that's where you're coming into the picture in a big way. So first of all, the film has got, I think, a dream response. Tell us what kind of feedback have you been getting?
Actually, Gangs of Wasseypur is one of those rare films that, you know, it's really like a honor to be part of, because it's got both critical acclaim as well as box office success. I think normally क्या होता है कि you get either or, but it's one of those films that has got both, and the kind of feedback has been phenomenal. Like I honestly, like I kept telling everyone, all my family and friends and everyone in all the interviews also, that, you know, guys, I'm just there for like 2 scenes in part 1, so don't expect too much. It's my first film, but there'll be part 2 to follow. But the response has been really nice, and like you said, that one scene, I mean, thank you Anurag for writing such a beautiful scene, and thank you Nawaz for being there. Like people really remember that scene, and it really gets a lot of laughs and response, and just the kind of response I've got, whether it's a social networking site or it's been Twitter or just generally otherwise also, has been really nice. And I've tried to make it a point to try and go catch different shows at different theatres, just to see, you know, how sort of people react to the movie. So yeah.
But don't you think that it's a very Mohsina's very filmy reaction to when Nawazuddin is trying to touch her, and then finally she tells him that मना नहीं किया हमने, आप permission लीजिए, फिर
हाँ, फिर हाथ रख लीजिए. I guess it's one of those romances कि they both want it, you know. It's not like कि, but अब उसको ये भी है, थोड़ा गुस्सा भी दिखाना है कि मैं लड़की हूँ, तुमने ऐसे कैसे हाथ लगा लिया. थोड़ा सा फिल्मीपन भी है, because see, also understanding where they come from, they've never really gone outside वासेपुर, कभी उससे बाहर गई नहीं है, उनके सारे रेफरेंसेस ही वही हैं, और जो उनका बाहर की दुनिया से रेफरेंस है वो फिल्म्स हैं, तो उनको वही समझ आता है. तो उनके आसपास खून, ये सब मार धाड़ सब चल रहा है, but in their life, whatever, when they're aspiring for something, movies is their only release. So even a gangster wants to have like a filmy sort of a romance, and you know, even she, who's just this regular girl who probably thinks she's very pretty and she's very ditzy and all of that, for even her, it doesn't matter. He could do a 9-to-5 job or do whatever, or could go out and kill people for money or extortion or whatever. For them, this is their idea of romance, and this is their world. And उनके जो reactions है बहुत ही normal. I think it's a very genuine, everyday reaction that, you know. Like actually, this incident is from Nawazuddin's life. We were doing a workshop before the film.
अच्छा, it's a real life incident.
It's a real life incident. We were doing a workshop before the film, और वो workshop में हमने acting के बारे में कुछ काम नहीं किया. हम लोग सिर्फ एक दूसरे को जान रहे थे. मतलब वो 2-4 दिन का objective सिर्फ ये था कि all of us, because it's a huge cast, all of us sat down together and we just spoke about each other. Our likes, our dislikes, our past, present, futures, dreams, aspirations, everything. So just to get to know each other as people, I think it's very important. I guess, and that's the kind of maker Anurag is, that, you know, he wanted his actors to get together, because he, I guess, realized कि इतनी लंबी चौड़ी film है, so unless people don't get together, we won't be able to crack this film. So during one of these sessions, Nawaz came up with this story that how वो बहुत शर्मीले थे, and जब first time वो date पे गए तो उन्होंने लड़की का हाथ पकड़ा, उसे लड़की ने बहुत तेज से उनको डांट दिया. And he felt very hurt and upset, and he started crying.
It shows on the face as well.
And I'll tell you what happened. And he starts crying, and लड़की मतलब उसको इतना बुरा लगा कि she hugged him. तो नवाज ने बोला, मेरे को समझ आ गया, तब यही तरीका होता है, लड़की के सामने रो पड़ो. And when we were shooting the scene, there were no instructions given to either of us that he's going to cry. It was just going to be कि तुम बस डांट देना, and then you see where it goes, because like Anurag would just allow us to take the scene maybe we want to take it. And I wasn't expecting him to cry, because, you know, it's honestly not a natural response for a gangster sort of a person. But when he started crying, I just didn't know what to say, and I was like, अच्छा रख लीजिए हाथ, it's okay, you know, are you okay, are you all right, kind of a thing.
इससे अच्छा थोड़ी लगता है, आपको परमिशन लेनी चाहिए. किसी घर जाते हैं तो पहले पूछते हैं कि अंदर आए कि ना आए ना.
You know, in fact, a friend of mine was telling me that, you know, it's like a very, after seeing that scene, it's a very typical girl thing that they would want it as well, but at the same time, they would want the guy to start it.
Exactly.
अपने आप से initiate नहीं करेंगे because they should have that ego booster that he was the one who
कि
initiated.
मैं तो नहीं थी और यही मेरे पीछे आया था, मैंने तो मना भी किया था. हाँ, मैंने तो मना भी किया था. अब चलो कोई बात नहीं. हाँ, it's like.
अब ठीक है, अब तो कर लिया तो कर लिया.
But Mohsina's giveaway line वही ना कि चल रख लो, मतलब मना नहीं कर रही हूँ, but like whatever, she doesn't know like how to sort of say it. So
I think one of the highlights of the film for me was the Hindi movies have been celebrated in the movie because what happens is, especially in the Northern Belt, because I am from UP, I understand that the movies play a very important role in the day-to-day lives of especially the youngsters, लड़के and लड़कियाँ and all, they play a very important role. And the way जैसे खसम पैदा करने वाले की and उसके अलावा जो जंजीर का जो scene है, बच्चन साहब का generally persona, the way it has been put into your character is a major film buff, you love going to watch the movies. In fact, that's like a very, very typical North Indian fixation as far as movies is concerned. While you were growing up, did you have that fixation as well?
I did. I think all of us. I think if you're born and brought up in India, by default you become a movie buff. You know, there's so much of cinema around us. The kind of music we listen to. Say, बाहर की countries में तो there's all kinds of music. Our music is also so Bollywood based, and I think it's kind of difficult to escape that. I grew up in a very non-filmy family. मतलब there's no filmy connection in the sense that none of us worked in the industry. But we grew up watching films, and I have very fond memories of going to this single screen called Sapna, very close to where I grew up in Kalkaji. My mother in Delhi. Where my mother would take me, and me and my younger brother would go, and you know, like just very fond memories. So most of my early films, I have memories of seeing them there. And I've done like what every other girl would do, is put on music and dance to Bollywood songs, and all our birthday parties would have, you know. Right. I'm just saying. So I think in India, it's very true that you somewhere or the other try and have like a bit of Bollywood in your day-to-day life. Just say a part of my family also lives in the old part of the city, which is Old Delhi. Wahan to I think the influence is far more. Like honestly speaking, if my character Mohsina in the film is very close to a lot of women I've met in Purani Delhi, because you know, like I still remember I was when Hum Aapke Hain Kaun had released, I was part of many young girls who had that green and white lehenga that Madhuri Dixit had worn in the film, because you know it was just something, and we were very young, but all of us, and it was really funny if you see pictures now, and we laugh about it also. They were like 7 young girls all dressed in the same thing. You know, you got your tailors to stitch it and all that. And I've seen a lot of women do that even today.
No, it happens all the time.
Yeah. So
I think you have a Madhuri fixation in the movie. And one more thing which I think another scene of yours which is I think notable is wearing those shades, and he's wearing the shades, and it's like basically a dream sequence.
Yeah.
I think in a movie
that's Anurag's quirk, huh? that is his way of basically, it's a whole dabangi thing, whatever. That's his quirk, you know, totally.
But I think it works.
It does.
You look very glamorous in that, you know, in a very unusual way. It's not the clothes or anything of that sort.
And the funny thing is I'm serving him kebab and he's eating kebab as if it's like the coolest thing he's doing, but he's looking like an idiot, you know. But in part 2 you see a lot. लेकिन जिस तरीके से आप सर्व कर रहे हैं उसमें भी एक I think there is a moment to it, and maybe because of that it's working. The guy has not really had any association with women at all. Maybe that is one of the. No, it is true. I think if you look at it, it is a lot of it says a lot about just the kind of society we also have, because in a way men and women are segregated, and there's this huge thing about जो होता है मतलब शादियों में, you know, I mean weddings are the sort of melting point, the binding factor where you sort of get to interact with the opposite sex. I think traditionally that's what happens.
And this was your Hum Aapke Hain Kaun.
This was our Hum Aapke Hain Kaun, yeah, in a way. This was our Hum Aapke Hain Kaun moment.
Tell us what is in store in part 2 for...
Part 2 has a lot more you'll see a lot more of Nawazuddin. The story gets taken forward. I don't want to talk too much about it because, as you know, part 1 sort of ends on this whole at the shootout. So you don't really know what happens. So anything else I'll say will sort of give away what happened to Sardar Khan.
But it's been said that Nawazuddin will be the one who will be just taking on the mantle of Sardar Khan.
Yes, and there's another
you will
son,
be the foil.
Exactly. So yeah, there are a lot of interesting bits within that. There'll be a lot of more permissions taken and asked and not asked and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, and you're having any songs and all as well?
There are songs, but see how Anurag uses his songs again very different. Like in this part also there were 14 songs, but you never really notice them because they're used so well.
Right.
They use so well. It's like a part of like the whole thing. So there are lots of lovely songs. In fact, my favorite song is in part 2, which is a song called Kala Re, which is one of my favorite tracks from the whole album. I always think of it as both, like as one film. Like part 1, part 2 for me is like one.
Obviously.
Yeah, long film.
Can you sing it for us? Possible, Color It?
No. I'll sing you a song from part 1. Part 2 music is not released, no? I can't do that.
Not a problem. Part 1 was your favorite song?
Which one would you like me to sing?
Whichever is yours, in fact.
You want me to sing Hunter?
Sure.
I am a hunter, she wants to see my gun. When I pull it out, the woman start to run. She begged me to see it. You have to sing with me. She begged me to show it. But when I reveal it, she wanna run and hide. Thank you.
Great. But I think you've done quite a few ads, in fact, and that two big ones. Amir Khan, I think Samsung Guru ad, I think
that
was received very well.
helped me. When I first moved to Bombay, I was as apprehensive as anybody else since I don't know anyone. I had a few people from the theatre circuit who I was sort of in touch with. So I genuinely was afraid as to how would things happen, and people feed you all kinds of stories and everything. But when I moved here, it took me a little while to get to the groove of Bombay because it has separate groove to it than Delhi has.
Right.
But once I did that, I think it was, as far as the work was concerned, I never really had to worry about it. I got my first ad after 8-9 months of being here, which was with Abhishek Bachchan. It was for a mobile company, for Idea Cellular, which was really popular. And then it just kept happening. And then I've done 2 separate campaigns with Amir. I've done with Shah Rukh. Other big campaigns.
Amir, you've done Monaco as well as Samsung Guru.
Samsung Guru is also the reason how I got Gangs of Wasseypur.
Anurag Kashyap directed the ad.
Yeah, and that's how.
That was the first ad that Anurag Kashyap directed. Can anyone believe it?
Yes, so in a way, I can say I gave him his debut as well.
And he has given you your debut.
So we're equal now.
Both are lucky for each other. Okay, and you've done an ad for Shah Rukh as well. Which one is that?
It's a Nerolac Paints.
Nerolac Paints, in fact. I think in total you've done approximately 15-20 ads, in fact. That is quite a few.
So I think when you start doing work, and whether it's commercials or whatever, it's for 20 seconds on TV, you start getting that validation. Oh, maybe there's something right that I'm doing. And plus people back home watch it, and there is obviously like a buzz about it, and you have friends and family calling and they're appreciating your work because everyone watches a cricket match or whatever. So you always have commercials playing. So I guess that sort of helps you gives you that little confidence that you need, I think,
Sure. In fact, the Samsung Guru ad, I think it was spoken about in quite a big way. One of the reasons for that was that mobiles are generally considered flamboyant, flashy sort of stuff, and it has to have yuppie music and all that sort of trendy sort of
this
stuff.
Was a very
but
grounded,
this is like very earthy, it was aimed at a very specific market that is like the smaller centers and the Desi group primarily, and maybe the lower income group in a way. And in that context, it worked beautifully. And I think जो chemistry आपकी थी, जिस तरीके से वो आपकी तरफ पलट के देख रहे हैं और जिस तरीके से आप उनको देख रही हैं, somewhere it had a nice moment to it as well.
See, again, like you very rightly said, it was something it was not like a flashy gizmo thing that's happening, or like a bada cool sa gadget. ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. It's a very earthy sort of a mobile which is meant to connect people from their loved ones.
Correct.
And mostly for example, Amir Khan plays a boy called Raghu, who's a first generation literate in the family. वो शहर जा रहा है अपनी job के लिए. There's a family, there's a girl possibly he likes who's still studying. So there are lots of things and which happens, which I think a lot of people can relate to.
Ji.
So how do you stay connected then? It's something that's I guess affordable, and how to tell that story in a way that touches your heart, which is why Dil To Jeb Mein Rakha Hai.
Dil To Jeb Mein Rakha. Nice catchy line as well.